okay, cool. I'm gonna check this out. Jamil's pretty funny. I like how he comps. He's got he seems even if he's full of BS, he's full of some BS that I'm buying because he really seems like he has comped more properties than anybody else. I wasn't told anything.
Nope.
Okay. And this is gonna sound so staged. I have AstroBlaster, I have Privy. And boom, I closed my first deal within 2 months. Closed my first deal.
Amazing, dude.
Yeah. So I got the first deal under contract.
How did that feel? How much did you make and how did it feel?
That first assignment fee was $40,000.
Yeah, let's go. Come on. And we're back with another episode of To the Moon. And in this one, we got one of my favorite Astro Flipping community members. But Matt Duke is a little different because not only is he in the community, he's been leveraging an incredible tech and he's been just smashing it. He's been going ham, some pretty wild deals under his belt. And I'm excited for him to share with you guys his journey. Matt, welcome to the moon, brother.
It's great to be here. Gravity's a little different.
Yeah, it sure is, right? It feels a little surreal, but I've been following your story, your journey, and I hear your name, constantly being thrown around by community members and always in positive, loving, and actually like really incredible ways. And so I want to get to all of that. But before that, rewind us, man. Rewind us back to the beginning of this journey for you. How did you get involved in wholesaling real estate? How did you find me? How did you join this community? And let's take it from there. And also tell us just about you. Like what's your pedigree? Where you come from?
Man, like that, it blows. You've made my year. As if wholesaling and the checks coming in haven't already made my year. You make my year saying stuff like that. It's just crazy and insane to think of. I mean, I don't know anything about celebrities or paying attention to people that you see up on these stages and things like that. And it's just, it's not going to sink in today, for days until after this that I'm sitting here talking to you. So it's amazing to hear you say those things. Thank you. Yeah. I'm from Iowa, still live here. I grew up here. None of my family is like really into, being a business owner or self-employed or anything. I do have an uncle that has been helpful in my journey. He's a broker, but he's about twice my age and he still does his comps with pen and pencil or pencil and pad driving around the block,
Wow. Wow.
Which has worked great for him.
For sure.
I wanted to make more money, right? I'm 37. So it's about 20 years graduated. And I wanted to go to school to learn how to make video games. And I go out to Denver, Colorado. They had a college out there. Most boring thing I've ever done in my entire life. I have 6 monitors right in front of me here. I'm a big gamer. The green behind me is because I stream on Twitch and YouTube. I do video games, and I hated programming video games. So I started working at DirecTV just because it was the first job I could get. I see a bunch of people with a bunch of money, and man, I love cars, and I love hot tubs, and I love nice things. And so I'm like, hey, what do you do? What do you do? And they all said oil field. So I spent about a year trying to get into the oil field out in Colorado. And this is a little bit further north of Denver, about an hour north of Denver, where there's a little bit of country. It's not downtown. And there's a lot of land, a lot of cattle, a lot of oil, wide open spaces. So I get into the oil field. I did about a 10-year journey in oil field, went to North Dakota, Wyoming, like lived and worked and traveled. Like my companies would fly me out to work. So I would still live in Iowa sometimes and they'd fly me out, go to Texas. I went out to Pennsylvania and I used to work with explosives. That's how I get the oil out of the ground. I went
fracking.
Yeah, I did fracking. Yep. So fracking, they need holes in the ground to frack. And
then they shoot water down there and explosives, right? Is that how that process works?
You once the well is drilled, you go down the well with what's called wireline, which is the explosives, and you shoot holes in the well, and those holes are what frack the hydraulic fracturing. What the frack crew, they pump water and sand and acid and a bunch of different things down there, and what that does is that energizes the oil and the gas down there to then come out and we can refine it. So you pump all that stuff down there, it fractures the rock in the formation, and then all the oil and gas starts coming out. And then I did also what's called flow back, which is you're flowing all the oil back. So I did frac, wireline, flow back. I ran cranes. It's the most favorite thing I've ever done in my life. That was the best job, was running cranes.
That sounds
cool.
cool.
100 feet up in the air, super cool.
You were 100 feet up in the air?
No, the crane was like 120 feet
my
up.
God, I'm just like, oh my goodness, no, thank you. I do not want to be on top of one of those things. I've got so terrible vertigo. I don't even like balconies.
I would go up about 60 or 70 feet. I would climb up the wells. Sometimes I'd have to climb up.
Crazy.
I'd have to get into different, like they call them man lifts. Yeah, I would work with that. I used to have to drive 80,000-pound trucks full of hydrochloric acid. So, you're driving a big truck.
That thing, and you dissolve and everything behind you.
Yeah. When you hit the brakes, this is no joke. When you're driving the truck with fluid that moves back and forth in the tank, the vessel that you're hauling behind you, when you hit the brakes to try to stop before an intersection, the fluid will keep pushing you through the intersection if you don't do it right.
Wow.
Yeah, you're 80,000 pounds behind you.
That must have all just been like incredibly exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, well, it was awesome. And it was good money. And I bought this big house that I'm in now, and I have a couple of acres, and I had a few trucks and Jeeps and cars and Harleys and dirt bikes and hot tub. And I was doing pretty good for everybody else that I knew of, that we just go get a 9-to-5. I kind of found one of the better 9-to-5s,
Yeah.
Now, I didn't, because it wasn't a 9-to-5. It was 100-hour weeks.
Right. So
it was horrible. I got laid off with COVID. COVID comes, shuts the doors down. All my buddies are talking about, what are we going to do? I'm going to start a lawn mowing company. I'm going to start a pressure washing company, blah, blah, blah. So I started a company called Duke Home and Lawn, and that's what I did for about a year. While doing that, I found a guy. He has since passed in a car accident. His name is Paul McComas, and he was on TikTok. This big bearded wholesaler in Tennessee. And I thought, wow, if this guy can do it, I can do it, because he was a mechanic. He worked in a shop, and he's a mechanic. And I go, hey, I know wrenches and all that. Got into it. Man, wholesaling is not as easy as some of these people will make you believe that it is when you're first starting out.
Yep.
I went through a bunch of different mentorships and groups. I actually went and flipped mobile homes. I found like a mobile home mentorship, and I got into mobile homes, and I did that, made a little bit of money. And I eventually ended up finding, I think, Pace and you. I don't know which. We'll say you were first.
Probably Pace, but that's fine.
Yeah, I don't recall. Hey, I'm not in sub 2. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, hey, that says a little. So, and it's interesting because people will find either him or me first, and then they'll resonate to whoever speaks to them, in a way that touches you and makes you feel like you could learn. And so, totally get it. And I lovingly know that you found Pace first, but then came to me.
Well, I don't know. I really don't. I don't remember. But maybe more, quote unquote, maybe more importantly than finding you and finding Pace, I found Andy wrong.
What a guy.
Yeah. So, I believe that I was just I had $50,000 invested in wholesaling, and it was almost 2 years before I got my first deal. Eventually got my first deal through AstroFlipping or AstroBlaster. So this was about a year and a half in that I found, it would have been fall, I guess, of 2022, late fall. I started hearing rumblings of AI and automation and, leveraging technology instead of just, banging the phones all day and just cold calling and having a 10-line dialer and all this stuff. I'm going, man, since I got laid off and I started my own company, I was working at home, so I could make phone calls, and I could do all this stuff. But I go, wow, if I'm making phone calls and over here I have a system texting people as well, and I can manage both of it, I'm going to be a powerhouse. I'm going to be a monster.
I mean, you're literally, you're letting the AI do an incredible amount of work for you, and then you are also working at the same time doing the same stuff. So like you're more than doubling up, because I think the AI almost 10x's us, but then you're there with the personal touch, and so it's like this massive compounding effect of outreach that I'm sure created this. You almost fracked wholesaling. It was like you were like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this business model. I'm going to drill holes in it. I'm going to shoot explosives down there, and then I'm going to send water and sand in there, and I'm going to make all the deals bubble up to the surface. And
That's
exactly
it. That's
what you
it.
did.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, so last summer I had to shut the well in because it was going out of control. And I had to go, okay, let me figure out how to stabilize this.
Yeah.
Because once you get going and that pipeline is full, you better have some infrastructure. Otherwise, I refuse to let things fall through the cracks. If I see I's, I want to dot them, and T's, I want to cross them. I'm a very thorough, very detail-oriented guy, and I hate when the ball is in my court and I'm dropping it. I'm fumbling it. So, I heard about this kind of stuff, and it was some kind of a challenge, and okay, cool. I'm going to check this out. Jamil's pretty funny. I like how he comps. He's got, he seems, even if he's full of BS, he's full of some BS that I'm buying, because he really seems like he has comped more properties than anybody else. I'm like, and I don't know how to comp,
Right.
So I'm going to start paying attention to Jamil, and now Jamil's got a challenge. Let me go watch this. And then that was the first, I think it was February of last year, 2023. That I went to the first challenge. I forget the name of it. It might have been the Jumanji challenge. I don't know, but I go in there, and dude, that was it. Like there was my life before that challenge, and then everything since.
My gosh. Thank you, bro. Thank you for coming to it, and thank you for just trusting yourself and and again, like, it's tough, right? The internet is full of all kinds of interesting human beings, and you have to have discernment. You've got to have that level of skepticism, and I applaud you for that. I think that it's really important that when you enter into listening to what somebody has to say, that you really think and look at them and say, okay, this, what about this guy resonates with me? What about this person feels genuine and authentic? And do I have evidence supporting the claims that they're making? Can I actually see this in real time, real life? And that's the purpose of the challenges, is this, not just talk about, hey, this community buy this, da da da. It's like, no, let's do the work. Right. Let's get everybody involved. Let's spend, days upon days doing the work, so that the evidence is presented. Right. And then you can see, okay, I think I've got a process here. I think I know what these steps are. And so you watch the challenge, you start taking action, and then how does the rest unfold? Because you're 50,000 in the hole at this point in education and mentorships, or where's that 50 grand in wholesale investment gone? Is it gone into lists, skip tracing? Where did it go?
Yeah. Yep. That's it. It's lists, it's skip tracing. It is mentorships that I purchased. It is, Deal Machine. It is Privy. It's all of them, Jamil.
Yeah.
It was like every time I saw these products, it was a shiny object for me to buy and for me to invest. And
what do you still have? What still works? And do you look at? And I have, listen, it matters to me not what you say here, because this is what you use, right? But like, what made the cut after you canceled this subscription, that subscription? At the end of the day, what lasted?
I have to say this first. We did not have any. We talked for 10 seconds.
10 seconds before this. Yeah.
I wasn't told anything. Okay?
Nope.
And this is going to sound so staged. I have AstroBlaster. I have Privy.
I mean, at the end of the day, honestly, I don't know that there's anything else you need, dude. I really don't think there is, right? Because you've got the comping tool, you've got, the ability to look at anything on market. You've got access to specific algorithms that help you with identifying potentially well-priced opportunities through Privy. You got AstroBlaster as your tech to help you just scale agent outreach in a safe and manageable way if you don't turn the volume up too high. And then, I mean, other than that, like what else do you need, right? It's like, I know where the deals come from. They come from these conversations. I know how to value them. They come from this skill that I learned. And then anything else is ancillary or, ornaments on the tree, right? But at the end of the day, we understand where the business comes from. And to be 1000% honest with you, and anybody who's watching this right now, Matt and I did not have an opportunity to talk before this. He was absolutely correct in saying we spoke 10 seconds before we went, because that's how I rock. But the facts is that if you're watching this right now and you're in the beginning stages of this, right? AstroBlaster didn't cost him $50,000. Privy didn't cost him $50,000. So all of that money that was spent in lists, skip tracing, these other mentorships, this, and that, it was his dues. He paid them, but they didn't have an ROI for him, right? The AstroBlaster the AstroBlaster tech is $1,000, and Privy is like, I think, like $149 a month. So he's got of that $50,000 that he spent, very little of that came from these products that have become useful to him. So walk me through now, since the cancellation of the others and the exploitation of what you're using, what happened?
So I basically, I didn't touch AstroBlaster for the first 2 months.
Okay.
I got it, and there was, I think it was Jay Mora. I think I called him
out of North Carolina. Great dude. Yep.
Yeah. Love Jay. He's awesome, and he's a beast.
Yeah.
He sent me a video the other day of him doing some muscle ups in the gym.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know.
Yeah, you don't want a headlock from Jay.
No. Well, I used to have hair, but he gave me the noogies, so that's where it went. So I called him up. He was cool, but he was kind of like an untouchable guy. You're an untouchable. Jay's. These are people I see on the internet. I'm little old farm guy from 100,000 people in my city in Iowa. Like, these are you guys are, I don't know, in LA and Vegas and New York, and I don't know, you're all cajillionaires. Like, so it was like, can I just get on the phone and talk to somebody? And Jay was the first guy I called, and he was, he was great. He was awesome. And I think I spoke to Tabitha as well. Same thing. I think she was on that, Tabitha Jones. Talked to her. She was awesome. And then I didn't do anything for 2 months. I watched somebody else. I forget his name. I wish I could remember who it was. But somebody else got a deal. It was either under contract or they closed it. They got a deal, and they got it the same month. They got AstroBlaster the same month I did. And I'm going, well, I am.
That pissed you off. You were like, what am I doing?
Yeah, with the same exact everything. And look, I'm not dumb, and I try really hard. Okay. So if I know that's not very humble, but like, this should have been paying off. This should have been paying off. And it wasn't. And there's this other guy comes in same time I did, and he's doing deals. Dang it. So then I went ahead and did another challenge. Okay. I don't know. Maybe that was like the Ghostbuster challenge or something. But I do the next challenge. I go into it. I'm paying attention. And I talked to AJ Pratt. I called him up. And I mean,
his story is amazing, though. Crazy.
AJ is one of the guys that really, there's a list of 30 or 40 people I'd probably like to thank if I was going to put together a list. And then there's like a top 10, and half of the guys in the top 10 are from AstroBlaster, and it's AJ's there. AJ said, Matt, what the hell are you doing? You're going to call me. I'm going to call you. He goes, Matt, I'm going to call you every single day, and you're going to track your KPIs. And you're going to talk to this many realtors every day. And then you're going to tell me at the end of the day that you did it. Okay. And he sent me a little KPI tracker, and it's a super simple Google Sheets thing. How many realtors did you talk to? How many realtors did you text? Whatever it was. And boom, I closed my first deal within 2 months. I closed my first deal.
Amazing, dude.
Yeah. So I got the first deal under contract.
How did that feel? How much did you make, and how did it feel?
That first assignment fee was $40,000.
Yeah, let's go. Come on. Yeah. So you're almost paid back. Yeah, you almost made all your money back.
Well, it was a good start, because I'll say this, Jamil. And I know we've got a time limit, so I'm trying to keep that in mind. I just made mention that I was making this good money in the oil field and I had this big house and acreage, a hot tub and toys and all this other stuff. My house was in foreclosure,
Damn.
you know? Like I was going to show up on one of these lists I was buying.
Wow.
So,
because you couldn't maintain the lifestyle because the job that you had helped you have the house with the acreage and the hot tubs and but then when that goes away, then how do you maintain it? And that's the difficulty, right?
There's no oil field money in Iowa. There's no oil here. So, and I didn't go to school to be a doctor, didn't go to school to be a lawyer, didn't know any of that. So I had to figure something out where my ceiling of my income wasn't capped at my hourly rate, my salary, and how many hours I could put in just myself at a brick and mortar shop or something. And COVID hit and the OPEC war was going on. So all the wells just started getting shut in. All the companies started closing their doors.
I remember when they were like, when oil was like, went down to $. Do you remember that?
That's when Matt Duke lost his job.
Dude, oil went to negative, like, because it was more, because nobody knew where to put it. It was all just floating in the sea. They had no, like the refineries all had it was when the world stops, it doesn't need oil anymore. So so that's when you lost your job. Oil goes negative and you're like, I'm done.
Yeah. They closed our doors, 125 guys. And this city in Wyoming had dozens of oil field shops. And this is only one city in only one state. I imagine hundreds of thousands of guys lost their job with COVID in the oil field, would be my guess, because we lost 125 guys in just our one shop. And that company is huge. So, got my first deal. That was awesome. And I had my second deal. Second deal was 20,000. Second deal was 20,000. Yep. And then, first deal was 40. Then I had 20,000. And then I had 3 other deals lined up. This is all last summer. This is all from AstroBlaster. And I had these other 3 deals that were supposed to close, and I shut the well in. I said, I'm going crazy. I don't have any VAs. I don't have anybody that I've hired, and I'm new, and I'm faking it. When I'm talking to people, I'm faking it pretty good. Like I know what I'm doing, but hair was getting pulled out. So I kind of shut everything. I chilled out on my agent outreach, and I kind of just took a step back. I didn't go on vacation or anything, but I took a step back, and those 3 deals that I had, they all went under. They all just
fell apart.
Yeah. So I'm going,
okay. Do you know what the purposes of it? Was it just like title issues, buyer fell out, sellers ghosted? Was it a mix of all of that?
Yep. So one was a sub 2 deal where the seller just ghosted, like right at the end. I had the buyer. I had everything lined up. Everything was good to go. It was completely done. I did all the work, and the seller just went away. Another deal was where this is funny. I don't know how tall you are, Jamil.
5'8",
but 5'8". Okay, so you would have been okay. I'm an inch taller than you. I was also okay, but we found out this ceilings in this house were not even up to code. We had estimated repairs correctly. We had a buyer lined up. Everything was fine. Blah blah blah. Everything was done, and we go to finally have the buyer walk the property, and he was happy with all the pictures, all the videos, everything. And he goes, "These are 6-foot ceilings in this house. This is not up to code. I cannot."
Oh no.
We'd have to pop the top. We'd have to completely raise all the walls.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
And so it just completely shot everything. And there's no way the seller was going to let it go for now, a big, huge price reduction. There was no way a buyer was going to make any money. And the third one actually did close. It just took a month to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was that $20,000 one there.
Okay.
So that one closed. So then, the first 2 deals that I did, I just didn't really like them. They kind of made me a little sad. I know it's crazy to say I had these big assignments, but people and the way that everything went down kind of made me a little sad. And I lost a little bit of faith in humanity with some of the people that I was doing business with. And between that, being overwhelmed, and then I joined another mentorship, REI Game Changers. I spent all this money. I thought all this money was still coming in. It didn't. So then I had no money for marketing. and I was back to $0. And so I spent 2 months basically playing video games, just being depressed. And I don't know, nobody checked on me. No, nobody else's fault. It's mine, and doing nothing. And I finally said, man, I really gotta pull my head out of where the sun don't shine. And I really got to get going at this. And so I called some buddies. Jason Lee, you've had on
Love
your podcast.
What a guy.
Yeah. I called him up, and he might've reached out to me, or I called him, one of the two. And I said, man, I cannot hold myself accountable. I need to know that I'm letting somebody down, because I don't want to disappoint anybody. And Jason kind of jumped into that spot and helped me out. Another guy named John Motzenbacher helped me out with that in the sub-2 community. And I started going. And on December 5th, Andy Wrong started the 100-day cold plunge challenge. And I decided, I happened to see him do it, I'm going to do it too. Screw it. And so I did an hour of reading every day. I did a cold plunge every day. I worked out every day. And then I did that challenge. That challenge just ended on the 12th, just last week. I lost a bunch of weight. I've read a bunch of books, more books than I've read in my life. I have read since December 5th. A bunch of people are telling me they see a huge difference. I just closed 2 weeks ago. There was a $50,000 assignment. Next week, there is a $40,000 assignment closing. Dude. So I'm back in it, and yeah. I'm getting my texting going again. I'm getting direct to seller stuff. I'm getting ringless voicemails, and I'm still going with the realtors. I've got my AstroBlaster pulled up over here. I have one monitor specifically for AstroBlaster 24/7, so I can always pay attention to what my realtors are doing. There's a dialer in AstroBlaster, so I'm calling realtors and talking to them. They love that, because
they do.
They're like, I get bombarded with texts, so I text them and I call them, and man, it's just everything's going the right direction. My house is no longer in foreclosure. I actually have money sitting in the bank. I'm not done, but I'm on the other side of it. I figured it out. I transitioned from 9 to 5 to being self-employed, and how to manage that. When I'm single, no kids, so I have to be accountable to myself. And I don't know if we can see, I don't know what your podcast shows here, but I'm going to show this. Hopefully I can get the camera up there. Up on that.
Yep.
You won't be able to see you won't be able to see the number, the words up there, but it says who. It used to say this, Jamil. It used to say, who am I letting down? And your name is right up there. I've got about a dozen guys on there. Andy Wrong's on there. Jamil, Pace, my mentors, Robert and Colin, they're all on there. I changed it from who am I disappointing, and Jay Moore is on there, Jason Lee is on there, and I put Hasnan is on there, Ethan's on there. I put who am I making proud. I changed it. I don't want to be thinking about who am I disappointing anymore. I think it's a negative mindset. It helped, but
it helped. It helped. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is your name on that?
It is. It is. At the very end, it says myself. Yeah. Yep. At the very end, I put myself, big capital letters, 3 exclamation points. My brother, my aunt, my grandparents.
Most important name on there, my man, is you.
Well,
it's your story, bro. It's your life.
Appreciate that. My soulmate. I don't know who my soulmate is yet, but I put my soulmate on there. Maybe she's not ready, and I'm not ready for her yet, but I haven't met her. So maybe at one of these summits or something, huh?
Maybe. Well, my man, look, dude, super inspiring. How do people get a hold of you, bro?
The only way that I really have is for them to call or text. So my phone number is 319-427-2082.
My man. And with that, guys, we've got another episode of To the Moon. Make sure that you guys reach out. Matt Duke is an incredible guy. And if you have an opportunity to tell him that you're proud of him, do so. Until the next one, we'll see you on the moon. Peace.